Welcome to Firearms of America. Today I'm back here at Shooters in Fort Myers, Florida with two Glocks 34. One is the Generation 5 and another one the Generation 4 to do a back-to-back comparison and see which one is better. Did Generation 5 really improve or did they ruin it? Well, let's do some shooting and find out. Now, you're already probably familiar, if you're watching this video, you probably are already familiar with the G34 5.3 inch barrel chambered in 9mm. Awesome gun. Now, visually, obviously, don't pay attention to this magwell and this slide wrecker, but visually, they are practically the same dimensions, feels the same way. This is the weight and everything. You do have some front slide serrations on the Generation 5, nothing on the Generation 4, but you do have slide cutout, which looks nice and saves a little bit on the weight on the Generation 4, and none of that on the Generation 5. Of course, the grips are different as well. You do have your finger grooves on the Generation 4, no finger grooves, more classic Pistole 80 look on the Generation 5. So let's do some shooting and see how these guys handle the 9mm. Now I know they handle the 9mm fantastic, but I am sure one of them handles a little bit better than the other one. So let's find out which one it is. Now the magazines are interchangeable between the Generation 4 and the Generation 5, which I think is great. It's good to know that they are interchangeable. Wouldn't want to spend some extra money on some extra magazines if you already had them from the previous generation. But I do have to mention that there was a little bit of an upgrade to the magazine in the Generation 5. Now this guide is actually orange compared to the black one on the Generation 4 and the Generation 3 and the Generation 2. You get the point. What this orange does is, I think it helps. I think it's a good improvement. It makes it easier psychologically to concentrate on where you are sticking your round in. I think it's good because why not? So I got 5 rounds for the Generation 5. I got 5 rounds for the Generation 4. Let's start with the older generation first, right? Respect your elders. So let's see if I can hit some of those flippy pedals right there. Generation 4. Let's do that. All right. Yeah. Okay. Basically, practically no recoil there. Let's see. Didn't lag back on the last round, the Generation 4, but this is because of my grip. I always have my thumb resting on the slide. Keep that in mind. So, here's one of the verdicts, right? Verdicts. We have a lighter racking slide on the Generation 4. It's easier to rack the slide on the Generation 4. The slide on the Generation 5 is a little bit tougher. Not by a lot, but definitely noticeable. However, whenever it comes to handling the recoil, I definitely give the win for the Generation 5. This tighter spring, it definitely makes the recoil much more manageable. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, the recoil is practically non-existent on these Glocks, but nevertheless, manages a little better here on the Generation 5. Thanks to a tougher guide rod, tougher spring. All right, so let's talk about the grip now. Obviously, the grip is different here. Generation 5 is less aggressive grip compared to the Generation 4. Honestly, I do like more aggression in the Generation 4. I do like finger grooves. Now, this is just my personal preference, and I think a lot of people, there will be 50-50 people that say, oh, you know what, they should have kept the finger grooves. And there will be people that say, you know what, I do love this new grip. So it's really a personal preference, but to me, Generation 4 grip is definitely for the win. I do like the finger grooves and I do like more aggression. Now, whenever it comes to the slides, right? Like I said, Generation 5, I think the slide is a little bit more practical, right? Because there are some front serrations. I know there are not a lot of people that rack it from the front, but nevertheless, just having that option is great. Why not? And speaking of slide release, Glock, I think they did a very smart thing. They implemented ambidextrous slide release on the Generation 5, because on the Generation 4, the slide release is not ambidextrous. And I think that's very important because the mag release is flippable, switchable, transferable, interchangeable. You can change, yeah, there you go, vocabulary. You can change the mag release from one side to another side on both of these Glocks. But it wouldn't make much sense on the Generation 4 because the slide release is not ambidextrous. Keep that in mind. So, mag release button here is practically the same. Now, it is different from the Generation 3, obviously, because it sits flatter to the grip here, yep, compared to the Generation 3. Honestly, I don't mind it. I like the fact that it has a wider area, but to me, Generation 3, which is not even here, but the Generation 3 to me wins with the mag release button. But let's talk about the triggers. See how different they are. Now, they should be practically the same, but we will see. So we have the Generation 5 on the top, not on the top, on the left, or I don't even know. This is Generation 5, this is Generation 4. Let's do it. So we have about 3.5 here. And then we have break crisp and break crisp over here. So triggers feel exactly the same. Looks like nothing was done between the generations. Also, nothing was done to the sides. They are exactly the same. Both of these pistols feature the MOS attachment if you want to do the optic, the red dot system. Both of them feature the accessory rail on the front if you want to put a flashlight or something like that. Safety-wise, both of the pistols have the safe action system. So at the end of the day, the main differences that you have in both of these pistols is a heavier guide rod, helps with the recoil, definitely for the win in a Generation 5. However, the grip is just a personal preference, and personally for me, the Generation 4 takes it. But I think at the end of the day, Generation 5, they did do some really good improvements. I think the ambidextrous slide release is probably the second biggest one after the guide rod, so that is definitely a huge plus. So hopefully guys, this was helpful for you to decide which one you want to go to. Right now at this very moment, you can probably save about $100 if you go with the Generation 4 instead of the Generation 5. If you're a lefty, not a leftist, lefty, you probably definitely want to go with the Generation 5 because of the ambidextrous slide release, since you would need to use. Yeah, makes sense. So, thank you very much guys for watching. This was Firearms of America. I'll see you guys in the next video.